Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Weekend Update. I am Marisa, your hostess for this bi-weekly program where we dive into what I have been up to in the past week in terms of reading and what I'm looking forward to in the week to come. So on a positive note, July is already shaping up to be a lot better than June was. June was a slow reading month, but it was also kind of an underwhelming reading month. And having only finished 1 3/4 books in the month of July, so far I'm enjoying them a lot more. Let's dive into the books that I have completed since our last talk. The book that I completed was Love Arranged by Lauren Asher. This is the last book in the Lakefront Billionaires series. And one thing about me is I love a Lauren Asher book. I just have found her to be one of my go-to authors. I've read most of the Dreamland Billionaires series. I read all of the Lakefront Billionaires series, and I have the first book in her Dirty Air series as well. This was my favorite of the series. I found the relationship to be really sweet between Lorenzo and Lily. I loved the representation of a strong male main character with OCD and how he dealt with that, how that manifested in his life and in his relationships as well. And as someone who also deals with OCD, I found it to be a really good representation. It wasn't like cheesy or over the top or some of the stereotypes that you see. Oh, I like my house really clean. I totally have OCD. It wasn't like that. It was very much like looking into the brain of someone who has those obsessive thoughts and those compulsions that come along with it and the toll it can take on a relationship. And this relationship I thought was really sweet because he saw her and she saw him. Past the diagnosis, past the compulsion, she saw what's going on, what's the root, and how do we draw him out and help him to manage this. And so we had a lot of self-growth. We had a lot from both of them. You know, her having muted her personality after some rejections in previous relationships, and him helping her to enjoy those brighter, more vibrant parts of herself, and her helping him to be like, how do we communicate effectively? How do we navigate these things? And when do we seek help outside of that? And so I thought it was a really great story. I rated it 5 stars. I would absolutely recommend this series. And I know that she has another book that's coming out in 2027. I'm looking forward to that. And I am looking forward to getting started on her other series as well. I literally have 30 pages left of this book. So I'm not saying that I finished it, but I basically finished it. And that is The Compound. I don't know how to pronounce her name. Aisling Rao? I apologize. But like I said, I have 30 pages left in this book. This is a really interesting read. It is Animal Farm meets Love Island. And I haven't finished it, so I don't have a lot of my deeper thoughts. I kind of will have to sit and ponder on it for a little bit longer, because this is a book that causes you to kind of ponder. You don't just read it and breeze through it, but you read it and you think. And it's a very short book. It's only 290 pages, but it's one that you want to breeze through and read, but you really want to read it slowly to pick up all of the little intricacies and the nuances about the commentary on human nature and isolation, obsession with material things, and groupthink and group pressure, and how those things kind of drive us. It's a really interesting read for the summer, and so I will have my full thoughts on this when I complete it, and so they'll probably be in the next update video. Ethan and I are also almost done with the audiobook of The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. I had a realization, and this is 2 niche things kind of combining. So my husband and I are huge fans of the show Taskmaster, and we are going through from the beginning and watching to be caught up with the current seasons. And on season 2, I was very shocked and excited to discover that Richard Osman himself is one of the contestants. It was so funny. After we learned that Richard Osman's one of the contestants, we're listening to the audiobook, and my husband was like, I can hear his voice when I'm listening to this book. And so season 2 has been a really funny season so far. So if you want to go ahead and watch it, that's a good connection. But like I said, we have about an hour left of the audiobook, and I will say, having watched the movie and now reading the book, there are a lot of things that were left out of the movie. And I think for good reason, because they were really heavy to read. There was one scene in particular where my husband and I were literally sitting in the garage after church listening to the book and crying. So I can understand why that did not make it into the movie, but really enjoying it so far. I think it's really quirky and really interesting, charming, funny. Again, I'm not done with it, so I will have my full thoughts when I complete that book. In terms of what I'm going to be reading next, I feel like after reading The Compound and reading a book that really dives into kind of maybe the worst of human nature and the things that we will allow ourselves to do when we're put in those kinds of bad situations, I feel like I need something a little bit happier. I feel like I need something where I know it's gonna work out okay. And so I am picking up A Song Unheard by Rosanna M. White. This is the second book in the Shadows Over England series. The first was A Name Unknown. I read that in May and I really enjoyed it. This is a Christian historical fiction romance series, and it takes place right at the beginning of World War I. So I guess to say I know that everything works out is silly considering what happens to the world after World War I. However, the characters are going to be fine. At the end of the book. So just something that I felt like it kind of refill my spirit before I decide where I want to go next to crush it. Anyways, that's what I have been up to. What have you guys been up to? Let me know what books you have been reading, how July has stacked up in comparison to the previous months of the year, and what books you're looking forward to as we continue in the summer. If you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, please go ahead, hit that little subscribe button. And while you're there, I mean, you're already almost there, just scoot on over and hit the like button too. I will see you guys probably in 2 weeks, and we will have some updates about the books that I am almost finished with, and hopefully some more good reads. I'll talk to you guys then. Bye.